On this episode of Locked On Angels, we all know that White Sox owner Jerry Reinsdorf wrote a letter to White Sox fans acknowledging the failures of the team this season, and it got us wondering, would Artie do that? We're not sure, but our everydayers wrote some letters that Artie should share with fans, and we think we found Artie's letter. We'll get into all of that. It's time to get locked on with Mike and John, and this is Locked On Angels.
You are Locked On Angels, your daily Los Angeles Angels podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. You can find us anywhere you get your podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and SiriusXM by searching Locked On Angels. And if you'd like to give back to John and I, the Super Halo Bros, for all the Super Halo content, here's some things that you can do. Leave us a rate and a review on Apple Podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button. And if you're not subscribed already, please subscribe and become a Locked On Everydayer. And whether you're watching or listening, come over to YouTube, leave a comment. It's really one of the best ways to get in touch with John and I and be a part of the conversation. And this episode of Locked On Angels is brought to you by Booking.com. Booking. Yeah, the right stay can make you a fan in any city. Book today on Booking.com. They are the official accommodation partner of Major League Baseball. Get the Booking.com app today.
Thanks for being here for this episode of Locked On Angels, where it's your team every day. You've got the Frisch Brothers here with you, a.k.a. the Super Halo Bros. My name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John.
It's our third season here at Locked On Angels. Of course, we're going into the offseason for the Halos. Mike, the Tigers swept the Astros.
Yeah.
And I got that part of the bracket right, but I didn't get the Royals. I didn't get that part right. The Royals beat the Orioles.
I actually love that, though. I love that the Royals are moving on as well. A team that only won 56 games last year, made some key offseason decisions.
Oh, stop with your Halo hopium.
Oh, no, I'm not saying the Angels. I'm just saying that the Royals did it right, and the Angels could have done that last season, and they did not do that last season.
Right. Hey, we're here 5 days a week talking Angels baseball, Monday through Friday. On today's show, what should a letter from Arte Moreno be like? Some of our everydayers wrote some letters, and we think we might have found a letter from Arte Moreno that was unsent. We'll definitely talk about that. But Mike, first, some everydayers kind of gave some pushback on whether Arte would even do this or not, right?
Yeah, on YouTube, KWolfX had a great comment. They said, the great unknown is what's happening in Artie's head. Boy, ain't that the truth, right? Does he even care anymore about the team's performance, or is he turning it into a clone of the Athletics and John Fisher? I respect the statement that Jerry Reinsdorf made. I doubt Arte has the same degree of personal integrity to do anything similar. Woo-hoo. Maybe I'm being unfair in my judgment. No, but I haven't heard anything, seen anything from Arte Moreno that would make me think otherwise. Johnny, what do you think about KWolfX going right after Arte Moreno?
It's fair. I mean, look, who has owned up to their mistakes? Who has owned up to the fact that, this was a bad season for the Halos? Look, you guys know, you hear it from us all the time. You got to look for the areas of growth that happened. But at the end of the day, it's a 63-99 season, Mike.
Yeah.
And for Jerry Reinsdorf to come off of his high horse and write the letter that he wrote, I think is key. And so, for Arte to make it just feels like every decision Arte makes is the right decision. And I don't mean that literally. I mean that in his mind.
Yeah.
It's like, well, obviously, I know what I'm doing. Obviously, I own this team. Obviously, I'm a billionaire. I've had success in the past. So I just wonder if he's at a point where he thinks he can do no wrong.
I agree, and I agree with this everydayer who said, who knows what's going on in Artie's head, right? Like, who knows what he's thinking about? But I do think that you're probably tapping into something that might be a reality, and that is he thinks he's great. He thinks he's doing a great job, right?
And the few minuscule times that he's spoken, it's, Trout wasn't healthy and Rendon wasn't healthy. And it's just like, it's a blame game.
No ownership from the owner, right?
Yeah. And look, it's not that those things aren't true. Trout and Rendon haven't been healthy.
Yeah.
But if that's what you're counting on, for those two to be healthy, look, you can't count on that anymore. You have to supplement this roster with something. And he didn't even say that for this year. He said that for the prior year when he did his interview like 18 months ago. I know he spoke before spring training to Jeff Fletcher and that crew. But again, it's no ownership from the owner. That's a good way to put it.
Right. Everydayer Louis Gomez, 3466. He said this: I don't think Arte would communicate anything close to what the White Sox ownership did. While I agree that Perry is the face of the team, Arte writes the checks and the team can improve if they don't spend wisely. So he thinks that Arte wouldn't communicate anything close to what Reinsdorf said. John, do you think that if it came from Perry, do you think that that would be better if Perry was the one that maybe admitted that some of these things were not great and that he actually had maybe more of a specific strategy to share?
Look, I think he did that with the stuff that we covered yesterday. And it's, hey, I'm working really hard to build a young core. I think we have it. I think that we need a lot more players. I got to talk to ownership about payroll. I think we do get this message from Perry. The problem with Arte is it just doesn't seem like he's in the loop about anything, Mike.
Yeah.
He seems really aloof, to put it mildly. And for Reinsdorf to write, obviously Reinsdorf probably had help, but for Reinsdorf to put out a letter in his name that says, hey, look, there's this thing happening. We know you're not going to see the results right away, but I promise you that we're addressing this. We're addressing this. We're going to keep hitting on this, right? It was a very detailed breakdown of here's some things that you can expect now. Here's some things that you can expect later. Here's what we're working on fixing. I don't know that Arte would be capable of writing a letter like that because he just doesn't seem to be in the know about the going-ons of baseball. In fact, and we've addressed this before, Arte was the one who thought Shohei's salary would start with a 400 million. And it's like, are you not paying it? He's one of the top 10 players in baseball.
Right.
No, dude, at the time you were talking about him, he was the top player in baseball. And even this year when he's not pitching, still one of the top players in baseball. It's insane. And so I just think that he's very aloof when it comes to this stuff.
It's so silly making those comments and thinking that people are going to believe you and buy that. It's just so silly, but that's the narrative, right? And when it comes to a lot of things with public figures, politics or whatever it might be, that they're going to say something and everybody's just going to eat it up. Right. And that was probably why Arte loves politicians and political things, right? Because he might think that he can say this and fans are going to go, you know what? You're right. Top 10. Shohei's top 10, right? When in reality,
Shohei's 9 of 10. Right. Who thinks that?
Shohei is the top 10, right? Like that's who he is. Now, John, we got this letter from everydayer Joshua Beller 86, and he wrote it on YouTube. Why don't you read this? This is directed to Angel fans. Here's what he thinks Arte should say to fans.
Love it. Dear Angel fans, I want to take a moment to address what has been a difficult and frustrating period for all of us who love this team. Over the past decade, we've experienced more disappointment than any of us could have imagined, capped by this year's record, which was our worst in our franchise's proud history. I understand I'm 13 again. I understand the anger and frustration that you feel. I share it deeply. As the owner of this team, I take full responsibility for our struggles on the field. I know that as fans, you deserve better and that we have fallen far short of those expectations. Our organization has not met the standards we've set for ourselves. And more importantly, we have not met the standards that you, our loyal supporters, deserve. Moving forward, I want to make one thing clear. I have full faith in Perry Manassian as our general manager. Perry has shown the vision, the work ethic, and the dedication necessary to build a winning ball club. And I believe he is the right person to lead us back to where we belong. From this point on, I am fully entrusting him with control of all player personnel decisions. Perry will have the freedom to shape this roster as he sees fit with my complete backing. As for my role, I will be stepping back from day-to-day decision-making regarding player acquisitions and the baseball operations side. My job moving forward will be to write checks, support the team, and be a fan, just like you. I want to see this organization succeed as much as any of you do, and I believe that by trusting Perry and our baseball operations team, we can build something special once again. I know that words won't immediately make up for the years of disappointment, but I hope you can I hope that you can see our commitment to turning things around. I appreciate your unwavering support through these tough times, and I ask for your continued patience as we work to bring winning baseball back to Anaheim. Thank you for sticking with us. Let's look forward to brighter days ahead. Sincerely, Arte Moreno, owner, Los Angeles Angels. Joshua should be in marketing. He should be Artie's personal assistant with that kind of letter, right, Mike?
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that he put in a nugget about the role that Artie will play. And I do think that that's the healthiest role for him to play. Do the business stuff, man. You're supposed to be good at that, right? So do the business stuff and let the baseball people do the baseball things and give them the resources to do the baseball things. Obviously, they're not going to go all wild and crazy and sign, Barry Bonds and Griffey, and we don't have to give that much up, right? Like I think that's where a lot of fans might want to go. But the reality is that let Barry shape this team. He's got now some seasons behind him and some seasons in front of him. Let him shape this team and not have to go, can we? But ask the question, should we? I think that that'd be so much more important for Perry moving forward. So I love that Joshua put in a little nugget about Artie's specific role.
I was looking at the payroll from the Disney days, and look, the Disney days, they were not flushed with cash. This team, I should say, was not flushed with cash. However, you look at what Bill Stoneman was able to do within the means that he had.
Yep.
And look, we say that often about Perry. Perry has to operate in Artie's world. Well, Bill Stoneman had to operate in Disney World, Disneyland, But the thing is they left him alone.
Yeah.
They didn't make decisions.
Yeah.
They let the baseball people do the baseball things. I think that's really key at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. We share what Artie should say in a continuation of the everydayer letters that you sent us, writing on behalf of Arte Moreno. We'll get into more of your letters coming right up.
This episode of Locked On Angels is brought to you by Booking.com. Booking.yeah, you can explore those U.S. cities that you've always wanted to learn more about with hotels, bed and breakfast, vacation rentals, resorts, so much more on Booking.com. You'll find your perfect stay even in your baseball rival city during the postseason. Maybe it's time to taste test your baseball competition stadium cuisine. And with Booking.com, you can find the right stadium stay that's just right for you.
I guess you can scratch Houston off the postseason list. You're not going to be going there.
You're loving this. With Booking.com's wide variety of choice in the U.S., except for Houston because they're out of the playoffs, you can go incognito to all of your baseball rival cities, no matter what team you're rooting for this postseason. Royals, Yankees, Dodgers, not Houston. You can use Booking.com, and you can be a fan of any team in any city. Booking.com, Booking.yeah.
This is the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day and everydayers. Saturday. It's coming up Saturday. I can't believe it, Mike. The O'Hoppe All-Star Bowl. You're invited to join us and Logan O'Hoppe and his teammates to raise funds for Corey's Promise, a nonprofit organization that helps offset the financial burden that families endure as their children battle pediatric cancer. They walk alongside families. It's a great cause. We're raising money by bowling together this Saturday, October 5th at Cal Bowl in Lakewood from 1 to 4 p.m., supporting a great cause. The Angels are going to be there to bowl with us, including Logan O'Hoppe. Grab your tickets in the episode description. And when you do, use our promo code BROS, B-R-O-S, at checkout so you can get $50 off your ticket. Plus, we've got some Super Halos Bros merch for our everydayers. So once you get there, come find us. We've got some merch for you. We got some shirts for you to rep the Super Halo Bros. We're looking forward to seeing you there this Saturday, October 5th at Cal Bowl in Lakewood.
John, one of our everydayers, Sydney Scott, left a message for us on Instagram, and she wrote a Artie letter, but she had a bit of an explanation beforehand. So she said, here's the letter that I would want from Artie, but it isn't to the fans. At this point, I don't think any of us trust his word when it comes to caring about the people who attend Angel games. I could possibly be persuaded into believing that he cares about the players, or at least what they think about him, especially superstars like Mike Trout. The fans stay by choice. We could jump to another team, as painful as that might be, but for most of the players, that's not an option for them.
Wow.
What do you think about that first before we read this letter? Because her letter is directed towards the players on the field and those in the dugout.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to the point of having 2 generational superstars and not doing anything to capitalize on that when you've had them on your team. Look, we've all talked about the fact that Trout hasn't been healthy. Him and Shohei barely played together over the last 3 seasons, when really Shohei, that's when he emerged, right?
Yeah.
But it goes back further than that, Mike. You had guys like Jared Weaver at the end of his Angels career. You've had young starters like Garrett Richards that didn't have the pieces they needed around. You had young players that were exciting, like you traded for Andrelton Simmons, who became one of the best defensive shortstops in baseball. And every year, Mike, his batting average got better, his hitting got better. I know that he had some ankle injuries here and there, but there was just, even during those times, the 2016s to the 2019s, there, like, you signed Matt Harvey. Yeah, I mean, you know what I mean? It's just stuff like that you can't justify. And so really it's these guys, you can't let them down again. You can't continue, because now it's not just Mike Trout. It's a whole team.
Yeah.
It's a whole team of a young core and Trout that need supplemental pieces, maybe a heavy hitter like we've been talking about, obviously some sort of starting pitching.
Yeah.
And if you don't have that, then you're going to let this team down again. That's where I stand. And that's where I agree with Sydney.
You know, it's interesting. And I had this thought as you were talking, this is a young team, and they're not coming in with families of their own. They're still in their OG family, right? They're still connected to mom and dad and brother and sister, right? And so you're not just trying to inspire these young guys with good players, but like Zach Neto's mama is still paying really close attention, right? And Logan O'Hoppe's mama is still paying really close attention. And so, I mean, this is one of those things where I know as a parent, and I'm watching my kids play any sort of sport, I know that I'm like rooting for my kid, but I'm also watching the manager and I'm watching the decisions, and I'm like, man, why is that kid in? Like, you get the other kid with a good ball handling skills in there, right? Like, and I wonder if that plays into a part in this conversation as well, where, hey, I want to do something not just for my players, but like their families have been incredibly supportive of this team. And I want to do something that infuses some excitement for them, right?
Yeah, I fully agree with that. And the fact is the families know this better than anybody else. They've been watching their kids grow up through this game, and they see the need that this team has. And again, there's some really good things that are happening for this team. There are obviously areas of need that need to be addressed. And it comes down to what Arte Moreno gives Perry Manassian permission to do. How about I read this letter from Sydney, because I think she really did great. She said, "Dear Angels, you have given your all to this team and its fans. That didn't always translate into wins, but ultimately that is on me. I have hamstrung your offensive and defensive capabilities in my lack of investment in the right people to manage both the business and game aspects of this team over the years. By not embracing technology and other means that could help you both on and off the field, I haven't invested in your present or this team's future. I have been unwilling to learn and adapt, not able to do the very thing I ask my players each and every day of the season." Dang. "I have not put in the work nor left what needs to be done in the most capable of hands. That changes now. From this point forward, this team and its future will be my top priority. We will grow both at the major and minor league levels to be an organization that you can be proud of and be part of. I believe in each of you, and while I haven't earned the right to ask for that same belief in me, I hope that this is the first step in rebuilding the trust that I have so carelessly squandered. I appreciate all you have given and will continue to give. Our future starts now. Sincerely, the worst owner this team has ever had. I love that. I love that.
Yeah, John, I love the direction here from Sydney simply because this is probably what you would get from Arte Moreno. He would go and speak to his players and his managers and his coaches before he would speak to us as fans, right? Because I think he really longs to be respected. And one of the things that I think has been an indication of that is that he's in that Calling All Angels video, right? And then when he got booed, they took him out. I think he infuses himself like Gene Autry did, except Gene Autry was invited in by the fans to be a guy that was with us, right? Remember when Jackie Autry was in the stadium when the Angels were in the World Series? Like she was one of us, and Gene Autry felt like one of us. He didn't have to prove himself in a sense like I'm going to go do this and do that and spend a bunch of money. He just was really an exciting baseball fan, and that endeared him to this fan base. And I think Arte longs for that, not with fans, but longs for that with his players. And this letter, I think, makes the most sense. If Arte's going to write a letter, it would be to his players and to his managers and coaches.
If anything, the one indication we might have about that is the fact that, and we hear it every year from Trout, is the fact that he's saying, hey, I'm in communication with Arte. I'm in communication with Perry.
Yeah.
And so that does tell me that, yeah, Mike has a line of communication with Arte Moreno. Does it get through? No, it doesn't. Not so far,
Not so
right?
far. Yeah.
But the fact that he is listening to Mike Trout, I think, is an indication that, yes, if in this made up philosophical, hypothetical scenario, Arte were to say anything, it would be to the players before he would write a letter to the fans.
This episode of Locked On Angels is brought to you by FanDuel. They are America's #1 sportsbook. And while you're watching games and you get a hunch in the middle of the game and you're like, I got to check out those stats. I got to see the play-by-play. I got to know how I'm doing. You can check out FanDuel and you'll find all of that on the same page where you place bets so that you can be a smart, well-educated winner with FanDuel. And right now, you can get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Suddenly, you're up $195 because you put a $5 bet out there. They're going to give you $200 just for playing $5. And then when you win, you're up even more. And you're going to win because you can check out the stats and the play-by-play and all that's right there next to the betting page. Check out FanDuel right now by visiting FanDuel.com.
And today's show is brought to you by our friends at Prize Picks. It's America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. The easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps, Prize Picks is just you against the numbers. All you have to do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Right now, you can win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with just as little as 4 correct picks. Look, I'm kicking myself because I called the Tigers moving past the Astros.
But you did nothing about it, right?
And I did nothing about it on Prize Picks.
Man.
What am I doing, Mike? So don't be like me. Get on Prize Picks, download the app, use our code LOCKEDONMLB, and get $50 instantly when you play $5. Again, Locked On MLB for $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even have to win. You just receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. So get on Prize Picks. Prize Picks, run your game.
John, have you ever tried to send an email and you thought you sent the email, but you actually didn't send the email? It got stuck in your outbox, or it got stuck in the processing or drafts, and you go back in, you're like, why is this not sent? Or somebody's like, how come you didn't send me that email? You're like, I did. So you go and check and it's stuck in the drafts. I think we may have stumbled onto that same issue with Arte Moreno's email, right?
Yeah. Don't ask us how we got this. But we have the letter that Arte was going to send, apparently, but it didn't get sent, stuck in his drafts. Again, no nefarious means here. We can't tell you how we came across this.
Yeah.
Are you ready for this, Mike? Are you ready?
I hope so. I think so. Let's go.
All right. Here's what Arte didn't send, but apparently had written up. Here we go. Hey, Halo bozos. I know this season wasn't the greatest, but hey, at least we didn't hit 100 losses, right? We're the only team in baseball to never do that. You're welcome. In fact, didn't that draw you in at the end of the season? The tension, the drama, the magnificence of it all. Look, I know you fans are frustrated. I am too. What's more frustrating than losing 9 seasons? How about Anaheim Mayor Harry Sadu not holding up his end of the bargain, huh? We had a great deal in place for my company to buy the stadium and the land and at a discount. But no, Harry had to go and get investigated by the FBI. You guys think you have it bad. Imagine having to travel between my mansion in Arizona and my mansion in Southern California and back and forth to make this deal and then have it all fall apart. I had to drive through Blythe. I know you're sad that Shohei Ohtani is gone and went to the Dodgers, but come on. Who in their right mind would pay that kind of money for a rookie of the year and 2-time MVP and probably 3-time MVP and possibly the first to do it in both leagues since Frank Robinson and is a two-way player? Certainly not me.
Nope.
Especially if that number doesn't start at 400 million. But think of the revenue we got in those last 2 months of 2023. Who could give up that Ohtani money? I knew you could see it from my perspective. Don't forget that I'm the one who lowered beer prices 21 years ago. Don't you remember how cool that was 21 years ago? 21 years ago, I made a statement that 21 years ago, I'd lower beer prices on Bud Light, and to this day, you can still get a small can of Bud Light for really cheap. Sure, you got to do a little walk around the stadium to find the stand that sells the cheap beer, but how can you beat a cold can of Bud Light with your buds? You just can't. 21 years ago. And who could forget all the talent that's walked through the hollowed and not at all recently renovated halls of Angels Stadium? Gary Matthews Jr., Vernon Wells, Josh Hamilton, Matt Harvey, Tim Lincecum, and Anthony Rendon. Oh, Anthony, we all know that we needed a bat in the 2019 offseason, and I delivered. Look, pitchers, what do they work? Once a week? That doesn't seem fair to me. Look, I know you jerks say mean things about me, and I've never said anything about that. In fact, I don't even bring it up with the press because I don't meet with the press. That's how much what you say doesn't bother me or hurt my feelings. I don't even think about it when I'm sitting down to dinner with my wife and I'm cracking into a lobster shell and shell rhymes with sell and chance of sell the team don't echo through my head at all. Here's the thing. I really wanted to sell the team 2 years ago. It's true, but something just kept pulling me back in. I had unfinished business. In fact, that unfinished business isn't even my business at all. It's the Samuelis who own the Ducks. That OC vibe they got going on, the OC vibe that they're building, you better believe I'm going to wait until that's done before I think about selling the team and maximize the value because somebody else built something great around Angel Stadium. When it's finished, then I'll get in business. So with that said, I hope you continue to enjoy the 4 for $44. By the way, that's 4 tickets, 4 hot dogs, 4 sodas for $44. Heck, you could buy one of those for just yourself and have 4 seats all to yourself. Spread out, stuff your face, enjoy the game for goodness sake. Maybe when you stop booing me, which doesn't even bother me, I promise, then you'll learn to enjoy the Los Angeles Angels experience. Yours until the end of time, Arte Moreno. Was he really going to send that?
Apparently, I just love that he signed it. Yours until the end of time. John, was this? If you go back and check, does it say "Dear Super Halo Bros" at the top? Because it feels like it's to us, man.
No, it says Halo Bozo, Super Halo Bozos. I guess if somebody wants to do that at some point, I think we just opened ourselves up for that. Thanks a lot, Artie, calling names. Calling us names. How dare he? Kind of a jarring letter.
It's an aggressive email. Actually, very aggressive email.
Probably why he didn't send it.
Spell checking was good, and he had good proper structure in his sentences. But I could see why he didn't send it out. That would be really bad publicity. And Artie is known for never having bad publicity.
Never. So there you go. Apparently, this was sitting in his inbox or his outbox, and because he uses Hotmail, it didn't go anywhere. We found it. So you're welcome, everybody.
Hotmail. Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day.
Alta Vista.
Now for your second listen, you can enjoy the Locked On MLB podcast. Our friend Sully's going to get you prepared for the fall classic. He's going to talk about how the Astros are out and how the Royals are in and the Tigers possibly could go all the way. John, I've had so many everydayers text me or message me privately and say, Tigers. And I'm with you. Like, it feels like the 2014, 2015 Royals, right? Sully's program is on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. And he's a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day.
Hey, friends, give us a follow on social media at Locked On Angels on Twitter, at Super Halo Bros on Twitter and Instagram. Whether you're watching or listening, come on over to today's show. Hit that subscribe button. We're on our way to 8,000 subscribers on YouTube. Get in the comments section. We'd love to hear from you. Mike, what do we have on deck for Friday's show?
Well, there's that Bally's conversation. What's going to happen with the TV rights deal? We're going to talk about that tomorrow. Plus, Anthony Rendon, I know that he has kind of heard a bit of more of aggressive Perry Minasian lately. Rendon has said that he has a plan to get healthy and stay healthy, and he shared that plan, and we're going to share that with you tomorrow on Locked On Angels.
All right, looking forward to those conversations. Maybe Bally just needs to go back to being Bally Total Fitness. I think that's
right.
Their bread and butter.
It's not working out, right?
Are those still around? Do those exist?
Probably
anyway,
probably in the town that I live in.
Yeah, we'll research that.
It's old school town.
Until tomorrow's show, my name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John.
Thanks for being here with us, everybody, and we'll see you back here on Friday.
Eternally yours. Yours till the end of time.
You can't get rid of me.
Oh, God.
Arte Moreno.